Good day to you, everybody. This is not current, but from a vocalist perspective or a vocal coach perspective, singer, kind of stuff like that. I've had so many people sing this song, try to sing this song, and so many people ask about it, bring it up. How is this guy doing this? And I had a friend recently ask me again, like, man, this one scream he does in this part, how does he do this? So we're going to check this video out, and I'm going to break down some of the stuff a little bit for you, and we're going to analyze it because man, and it's going to be hard to not give commentary on the way the music was and the way it's evolved and the way it is just a shit show now. But yeah, one of the funny things about this performance is that we have to just put the fact that everybody's screaming the entire time on the back burner back here and listen to the performance. So come along, let's do this. First of all, I can't even imagine having a TV show back then and being like, we're going to have this band on and people are going to lose their minds. Like, that's incredible, you know, to imagine. And keep in mind, too, that these people have no in-ear monitors. I would imagine that would not have existed in any type of way. I can't see the monitors. They probably have, you know, some kind of monitors there. But again, it's amazing to imagine that this stuff was back when people just played and played and played and got really good and tight with what they're doing. Whereas now, you know, even including myself, I can write beautiful pieces of music, but it's based on the writing process, not so much getting in a room with people and creating things and, you know, that kind of stuff. So.
There is a house in New Orleans. They call the rising sun.
So before we even continue, how do you not push a little bit harder and try to project a little bit more and all that kind of stuff when there's an entire just a stage and everything's just filled with people screaming, the whole place. And he's got the mic down here, you know. The sound actually sounds pretty good for how they mixed it and all that kind of stuff. But it would be so hard right out of the gate to not start just going, hey, and just pushing really crazy. But yeah.
And it's been the ruin of many old boy. And God, I know I'm one.
It's cool to hear that too there. I'm one. You hear his vibrato kick in right there at the last part of that? I'm one.
I'm one.
I love stuff like that. You'll hear that in Alice in Chains a lot, and with Cornell, with some of the stuff I grew up with a little bit more, where you'll hear them end a phrase, but since they were in the singing mode, that doesn't quite stop. So you hear this, and you just kind of hear it trail off. I love stuff like that. We have like one mic on the drum set. Again, it's hard to not give commentary about this kind of stuff. You can hear how that absolutely, that little bit of grit and power just affects people, mostly women, in the audience, and how they're just like, oh, we love this. So that is an A4. Most males' bridges, they're going to be outside of that realm already. About 85% of the men I've taught through 14 years have a bridge at F sharp 4, close to there, very close to there. When I say close, I do not mean, you know, the whole way up here. I mean, you know, if it's not F4, it's F sharp 4. If it's not F sharp, you know, it's G. But anyway, we have that which is going to be, in terms of me, a little bit above in more of probably a head voice resonance than it would be in chest. Now, again, we can stretch these things, and I'm going to talk about some of this stuff, but There's only so much I can get into when it comes to complicated, difficult things like this, but I have God knows how many lessons that you can watch for free, or you can join me on Patreon where I exclusively upload lessons now exclusively. Anyway, so when we get into that right there, we have a belted, then distorted notes. We have a compressed, belted, great sounding distorted note. He's pressing from the diaphragm. He's open. Everything's great. He doesn't look like he's sweating bullets trying to make this stuff happen. He's good at just blasting this out of his head. I have not listened to his speaking voice, so I don't know naturally how high he's able to kind of speak and sing. If he's, what we can definitely surmise from all this stuff right out of the gate that he's probably close to his bridge, if not maybe a little bit over, and he's pushing into this stuff. So.
She sold my new blue jeans, yeah. I was a gambling man.
So is there a little bit of a break there? I actually wanted to hear. I would like the human experience of this, the human nature of this in terms of actually hearing somebody do this stuff and have it be human instead of, the auto-tuned, everything's completely perfected nowadays type of vibe. And he had a little tiny bit of a break there, just naturally.
Down in you,
Like the guy playing bass is just like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. So we got a little bit of an accent coming through. We, again, people always ask about, accents, like why don't people sing with accents? And sometimes they do a little bit more, but singing is vowels, is the elongation of vowels. So if you start opening things up, my father was, if I was Irish, it's not going to be my father was, like I'm not going to hold on to these things. So it always goes to more of these open vowels. And in this case, we hear a little bit of a kind of like a southern inflection. My father was a gambling man. Like I hear this kind of little bit of a thing he's adding to it. But yeah, anyway, so let's go back and we'll start getting into some of these notes. When we get into belting, again, this stuff's complicated, so I'm going to move through it pretty fast. But we get into belting, we have a nice open throat and a nice open kind of sound. Ah, 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 and we're pushing down from the diaphragm. It's always important to remember that where you take air in from is also going to be where you're most likely exiting and pushing air out from. So if I continuously take breaths up in the upper chest like this, then it wants to exit and it wants to push from that place. Not exit, but it wants to, the internal is going to be the external, meaning where we take it in from, it's going to want to go like this. So we start to practice coming in from down here so that we're pushing from down there too. Again, we're getting out of the upper chest, out of the neck, because all this stuff, especially if you're trying to do something like this, even if you lowered the key a lot, it's going to be problematic if I go, my father, like this. Oh, instantly sucks. And you can tell I am not doing what he's doing if you watch my body language, even from the second I started making that. Another cool thing you can try to do with something like this, and it should be done with almost all singing, is the second that you start singing, it should be perpetuated and from a physical place, a physical movement, whatever you want to call it, from the stomach first. So I'm not going to use my speaking voice, my speaking muscles first, and then drop into chest and diaphragmatic and all this stuff. I'm going to start from here. So essentially, this is a habit you'll want to do away with eventually, but we can put an H in front of it. So let's lower the key, and I'm going to go, father was a gambling man, da 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 da, ha ha ha, like this, and put that H in the front. Then eventually it's father was, but that's still kind of the same if you really heard me right there. And there I'm starting to enter into a nice open belted kind of thing. And then people are like, yeah, but I want it to be gritty and I want it to be distorted. And then a lot of people are going to be going about that wrong. So let's take this in a simple way as well. If we have a spectrum between completely closed and compressed to a point where nothing's coming out of your head, to open up to a regular note, we're going to play with that spectrum in terms of a meter and see if we can't get some distortion to happen from that. Of course, there's plenty of ways, and I have plenty of videos about distortion too, but let's think about it like this. If we were to hold our breath back, again, perpetuating from down here first, and then we feel this spring-loaded you're going to feel yourself stop where your vocal cords are. That's natural. That's normal. We don't always want to put so much emphasis and pressure where the vocal cords are, but we need to start somewhere here. So if I load that pressure here, we're at a complete stopping point, right? Then I'm going to start opening that up slowly to a regular note. This is why people say like picking up a weight or whatever, because we're kind of doing these things when we're engaging in some kind of a lifting process or whatever, where we're going and we're grabbing a hold of something or we're holding our breath essentially. But in this case, again, think about it like a spectrum. And if you're going to be singing above your bridge and going beyond your bridge, this stuff's going to get way more complicated. Lowering the larynx, crying into the sound, holding back, distortion, your placement. These things get complicated really fast, and it can be too much to think about. So again, give yourself that benefit of lowering it a bit and trying it, in that place. And still belted, full, or whatever, but my father was a gambling man down. So if we have my mother was a tailor, my father, who somebody was, he sold my new blue jeans, sewn. So if I really start to compress that, there I'm just letting enough out to make sound basically, but it's kind of giving me that heavy compressed sound. Again, when people hear something like this, the reason instinctually or empathically, if I could say that word, that people feel it so much is they can feel the pressure and intensity. So it's not that somebody's taking the voice as they know it regularly, and then pushing it like a gas pedal until it starts to break and distort. That's absolutely 100% not what's happening. It is that internalized pressure that's building that makes everybody go like, oh, it sounds like a bomb is building in terms of pressure, and it makes us go like, and it makes us all kind of react. So again, now as we get up to here, I have to lower my larynx. I got to do some things to really start to make that happen. But again, this is a note right here, so we'll say that one again. Father was, my father was, a gambling man, yeah. My father was a gambling man, and my mother was. I'm gonna get some water, but I don't have any. But that's a little bit harder. Either way, as we progress here, I'm talking a lot, apologies, but as we progress here, whatever you're doing, if I'm getting up to an A4 there, and even if I'm doing it rather poorly because I'm not warmed up and ready to be shouting this stuff out of my head, we should be able to take this higher and higher. You're going to be entering more and more of head resonance as we do. That doesn't mean I'm in head voice and I'm going, my father was a tailor. That's ridiculous. But you're going to be entering into this realm more and more. So it's going to get, in a sense, kind of more light or more AC/DC, things like that as you continue to go up. But you should be open enough, and these things should be working well enough for you that you can take it higher. I'll give you a small example here. It might not sound as heavy as you might think it should right now or whatever. But here's this A4. Again, we're over my bridge by a whole step. Father was a tailor, my mother was a tailor, mother was, there's a high C, mother was a tailor, saw my new blue jeans, my father was, Now you hear that I'm starting to enter into this 80s, almost kind of a high Cornell or high 80s. Yeah! Because I'm up here. So again, we're losing more and more chest resonance as we go up, and I can't keep that weight. Father was! I can't keep doing that. But know that as you do work on stuff like this, we shouldn't be building a wall where you're going, and you're just redlining your voice. So let's listen to him a little bit more. I know there's some other exciting stuff that happens in here. But anyway, that's definitely a little bit of an entryway into trying to figure out how to do some of this stuff. Give yourself the benefit of using it in chest first. Father was, oh. The thing looks like it's gonna fall apart, man. My God, look at those ghost notes on the snare. He's fucking... Everybody's doing a lot of work in this song. Oh, mother. So you could tell in terms of stylistically, again, how much he's kind of affecting that. I think these guys are English. I hope. I haven't looked this stuff up in a long time. On this person saying that the singer was 22 or 23 at this time. It's hard to tell. But yeah, again, oh, mother is very not English. So it's cool to hear how different things were influencing different people, and they were just pulling from that and pulling from this.
Tell your children not to do what I have
Done, not to do. So there's that A again. Sounds like that's in his chest to me. To do. With me, you can hear, ooh, I have to get up into here. And you hear that he's pretty much, I think, comfortably just right about at the top of his range. So, again, in terms of if you can't do that, doesn't mean that you can't still be heavy or sing the song well, but it's still going to be different. A lot of times when we get into mixed voice, we get into a lot of this stuff, you're going to recognize some weakness, which is also good. Because in your singing, you got to find out where your golden range is and where your voice excels and all this kind of different stuff. And if you keep just going year to year trying to sing like this person, trying to sing like that person, I can kind of sing like this, but then I can sound, but that's kind of a waste of time in some ways, because it's good to push up against weakness. Again, I can sing "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey. I can sing AC/DC. I can do a lot of this stuff, but my voice is still different and unique in its own specialness and its own uniqueness. So I want to find out how to lend that to my own music or lend that to my own versions of these things at the end of the day, instead of just constantly chasing after, I want to sound like this person, I want to sound like that person, I want to sound like this person. So again, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you do have some physical limitations, so try to work within those. But to me, it's still exciting to learn how to expand past these things. So again, A4 is beyond my bridge. Can I do it? Can I do it heavy? Can I do it compressed? Can I warm up and sound better than I do right now? Yeah. But am I going to sound like him? Am I going to carry as much weight, as much kind of like this girthy, yeah, this kind of thing? No, not necessarily. Could you, if it was beyond your bridge? Again, you're probably going to be entering into some of the same stuff I'm in. You can think about that like, again, you have two different resonances or two different arenas to put your pressure and your resonance in. We can sort of sit sometimes in a little bit of the back between these resonances, but we're, especially belting, we're going to be pretty much filling up one of the resonances more than the other. So we're going to either be in this arena holding on like a mother trying to keep everything down here, which is eventually going to build a wall, or we're going to be up here. So again, I'm still pretty much either here or here. And when I leave my bridge, my hard palate here, when I go above that, I'm more exclusively in a head voice coordination. He does not sound like he's in that. Make sense? What the fuck was that, man? That's crazy. He just did that for fun. He's just having fun now. So his bridge showed up right there at about a high C, which is crazy. And yeah, he might be doing some compression and stuff to get there, but spend your life. That's what he just did right there. Let's listen to that a couple more times. And again, he was just doing that because he's just enjoying himself. So he also went spanned, which is not easy to do. Spanned! And I have to modify it and go spanned and open it vertically. So the equivalent of that would probably be me going like, spend your life! Spend! Spend! Because there I can still get end. Spend your life! And he's going, spend your life! So, man, not easy.
Sinner misery in a house they call the rising sun.
If you could try to imagine the energy that would be wafting at you, the intensity of all of that insane energy coming at you, and now we see him bouncing around and stuff like this, just trying to deal with that, keep your composure, keep the song going, everybody stay locked in, keep you, being able to hear what you're doing, all that kind of stuff. It's got to be amazing. I remember so many of these performances like this where the Beatles would talk about the fact that they could not hear what they were doing over everybody screaming. They were still performing pretty on point and in key. And it's amazing. It's amazing to imagine what that energy would feel like. And like I said, I feel like it's affecting him now, where he's got to do a physical movement to kind of like do something to kind of get rid of some of it instead of just kind of standing there looking cool. And now I feel like he's catching on to the fact that every time he starts really yelling like this, people are just digging it more and more and more. So this is the clip that my friend sent me recently. Like, how is he doing this here? Now, again, we can go about this in the similar ways in terms of trying to compress and stuff like that. But when we get into certain levels of compression and certain parts of the voice that are compressed or not compressed, right there we have the vocal cords coming apart. So again, that is not pushing the voice so hard that it breaks apart. It's just a matter of being compressed and holding back, but then decidingly opening the cords up so we have a vocal fry distortion coming through. So that's what you're hearing his voice do right there. One way we can perpetuate that is by using the vowel shape or the sound itself, which I'm using is So if we have and we're getting right where the vocal cords are with that sound. And then I'm trying to kind of whisper through it. So again, let's take this down into a more normal range. So I think he said, they call the rising sun. They call the rising sun. They call. So you hear I'm kind of making these ridiculous, almost monster noise sounds. Metal music. They call the rising sun. They call the rising sun. So if I was still compressed, call. There I'm compressing higher and it's more connected. But if I use this O, they call the rising sun. So let's listen to him again. And I got to say again how he's just having fun with it now. You hear it? Call the rising sun. They call the rising sun. And it's bad, call. So much fun to get into that stuff. If you want to practice this shit as well, know that on your distortional vocal journey, learning how to scream, whether you're into metal music or not, I never really was too much, you still will benefit very much from learning how to do these things. Again, if we have a spectrum like everything is in life, from clean singing to holy shit what I just did, But there's so much to learn by going and taking that journey. And if you know how to do this, most likely you'll learn how to do this in the middle. They call the rising sun is a middle ground between call the rising sun. So you can see how me learning how to do oh is now some end of the spectrum that's just the heaviest version of that. So we'll finally finish this out. I know I've been talking for a while. That's still terrific. I love right here how he actually just kind of brought the energy back to kind of like looking at the camera and not just insanity. Because he could have kept just going ham on it and all right, and everybody could have whatever. But it's actually cooler to have spent that energy there for a second and then brought it back to like, I got this shit, man. Let's wrap this up.
And God, I know I'm one.
Wonder what kind of mic they're using back then, man. I saw that with like Creedence Clearwater Revival and stuff, where they would have a mic down here and he's singing up here, and it still picked up everything really, really well. It might have been picking up some of the stage noise, the drums, stuff like that. But man, you know, it sounded awesome. I know we don't really have drums and stuff coming through. We don't hear snare and everything, but great sound, great performance. Hard to imagine, so hard to imagine. But anyway, if you got questions about this kind of stuff, you can always take a lesson with me. I'm happy to teach. SterlingRJackson.com. And again, Patreon is where I upload my lesson videos now, where I'm giving clear-cut instruction. Not to mention over there, I'll talk to you more, comment on your problems more. You can write me messages. Or you can give me suggestions of actual things you want me to literally break down. One of the most recent being somebody was like, it's never easy stuff. Somebody was like, how do you sing Burden in My Hand by Soundgarden? I'm having some real trouble. And you're like, that's one of the hardest songs ever. Sure enough, I made a video about it. So, yeah, I hope to see you guys soon. Thanks for joining me on this, and bye.